All right. Welcome to the People's Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Doug By, here once again with Mike Rossi and G Money himself, Joey Janoffi. And boys, we got a fourth guy this week. Andy Garganese.
Wow, look at that.
I got
All right.
it.
You like
Nice.
that? I
Nice.
got it. I
What's
nailed
up,
it.
fellas?
How you doing, Andy? Good to see you. Good to have you
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
absolutely.
We got a nice little Brady bunch going.
I was just gonna say that. I was joking with a buddy of mine. I was like, every week we're just gonna add another guy and see how many people we can fit on the screen. Every week we've added a guy, so we'll keep it going. All right, let's jump right into it. This week's episode is gonna be on how to win your league. So the four of us are gonna give tips on how we've won leagues in the past. And but first, let's go to the news. There's a ton of it. So let's jump right into that. Saquon Barkley signed a 1-year deal for 11 mil. I thought he was going to hold out a little bit longer, but he didn't. Joe, what do you have to say about that?
So I agree with you. I actually thought Saquon was going to hold out longer. Didn't expect the deal to get done like this. But it's the best thing for both parties involved because Giants are not the Giants without Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones is not going to be Daniel Jones without Saquon Barkley. He can't win this game. Yeah, he got his big contract, did a lot of things well for the team, but he can't do what he did without Saquon. They drafted Jalen Hyatt. They signed Paris Campbell. Darren Waller could be a security blanket for
He'll be the
Daniel
number
Jones
one.
if he gets healthy. Yeah, he's definitely going to be a top target for them. It just depends if he can stay healthy or not. He had those issues with the Raiders staying healthy.
Yeah.
But I think it's the best move for both teams. Saquon is going to get a little bit more than when his franchise tag. Franchise tag was 10 something. He got 11 plus his bonus. So I think it was a smart play by both sides of it, and I think it's only going to help the Giants to get it done before the season started.
All right. Anyone else have anything to say about that?
I think the only thing I would disagree on is that I don't think it's the best for both parties involved. I mean, the Giants got their way with this. Obviously, you see the reaction of all the other running backs that
Yeah. I
they're
thought
not getting
Saquon was going to
long-term
really,
deals.
yeah. I thought he was going to hold out a little bit longer.
He wasn't going to get a 4 or 5 year deal from them. It's make the most of what you can for this season and then go somewhere else next year. And that's why I think it's the best for Saquon. I agree it's not the ideal contract you want, but I mean, with the situation, I think it's the best that he could do.
All right. All right. So also Justin Herbert, he signed a 5-year extension worth 262 mil.
I can't whistle, but if I could,
It's a big payday. Mike, where do you have Justin Herbert
in my QB rankings,
in your QB rankings? Yeah.
I actually have this right in front of me.
Look at
Fifth,
that. 5th?
right behind Lamar.
All right. All right. Does this change anything at all for anything other than
No,
Dynasty?
I think we saw it coming. Maybe not this early, but we all knew that Justin was going to get paid. So I don't think it's going to be anything that changes my look or should change his draft status or anything like that. Maybe in dynasty leagues because you know that they have him long term. But other than that, I think everything stays the same. And Andy, you're good.
No echo. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right. So another thing, does anyone else have anything to say about Justin Herbert? Are we good with that?
Nah,
No,
we knew it was coming.
Yeah, knew it was
Yeah,
coming. I think he's gonna have a big year personally, but
they had to do it. They drafted Quentin Johnson. They're trying to get younger wide receiver. Keenan Allen's fading. He's only got so much time left. You gotta keep your key players there.
yeah. All right. Jonathan Taylor was placed on the PUP, which wasn't a huge surprise, I don't think, coming off that right ankle surgery he had. My only concern is the fact that I think he hurt this thing in like October of last year. So, what's kind of taken so long with it. But Andy, what do you think about all that?
I mean, it is what it is. I think it's more of a contract pup than it is a physical thing.
Yeah, it
I
could
think
be.
the whole running back situation in the NFL right now is wild, and I don't think he's going to go out there, and this is a nice way to sweep it under the rug. Just throw him on the pup for training camps and see where we go from there.
Yeah, they're all playing games right now.
Was JT one of the ones involved in the running back phone call that happened where they're all talking about taking the stance?
I think so. I think it was all the from what I read anyway. It was all the big running backs, right? Eckler was at the head of it, and
yeah, he was disgruntled earlier.
He asked for a trade in the offseason.
Right.
Most of us.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of running backs, Tony Pollard is cleared for camp. He broke the fibula in the playoffs, but they did say he's easing into practice. Mike, I'm going to go to you on this because I know you're probably his biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, I don't like this news this early. I was hoping that it came later. I mean, I thought he was fine. Obviously, I'm drafting him beginning of the second round, but I think this only starts to raise his value from here on in. So I think my value of him as pick 13, 14, that's going to be where everybody else has him from now on. So I'm not getting the steal that I thought I was getting. So
Joe, you're shaking your head.
I mean, yeah, just because I don't think it changes his value too much until we know what the situation is with Zach Martin holding out and if he's going to be back or not. I think that will hold his value. I think if Zach Martin comes to camp before your draft, then yes, you need to bump up Tony Pollard because I am high on his ceiling with Mike. But without knowing about Zach Martin, I'm holding him right where he is right now.
All right. I think I'm the only one in this group that has concerns about Pollard. I don't know about you, Andy. Do you have concerns? No?
Nah, I like him.
All right.
I got to ask, what's the concern?
Well, he's never had 200 carries in a season ever. He was a wide receiver, running back hybrid in college. He's always been the backup. I don't know if his body type can take the wear and tear throughout the season, I think he's got huge upside. Don't get me wrong. The kid's a stud. I think he's got huge upside, but I think there's a big risk.
I think his body's more solid than you're thinking. I don't see a size issue with him.
You like his body, huh?
Yeah.
What's not to like?
All right. Let's go to D-Hop because Joe, I know you wanted to talk about that, and it's a little bit older news now, but D-Hop to the Titans. What's that going to do for fantasy?
Not just fantasy. I'm saying give the South to the Titans again. The Titans ended the season on a massive losing streak last year, and I think this is a piece that they were needing. I think this is going to increase Derrick Henry's value. I'm huge on Derrick Henry again now, and I even think it helps Treylon Burks' value because it's going to take a lot of pressure off of him. It's going to up Tannehill's. I'm still very questionable with Tannehill. I'm not saying I'm going to draft him rounds earlier, but I think it gives him a higher ceiling again to have a season like he did 2 years ago.
So would you draft Tannehill as a 12th, 13th kind of quarterback in one QB leagues?
I think it definitely puts him in that category now. I think DeAndre Hopkins still has some of the best hands in the league and is still one of the best route runners in the league. So I think he can make that type of difference for all three of those players on that Tennessee Titans roster.
Okay. Anyone else have anything on D-Hop?
Yeah, I got it.
Do you see the meme, the Vegas odds on the Titans pre and post D-Hop? The odds stay the exact same. That was pretty fucking hysterical, but yeah, I'm nothing rather.
Listen, I know Vegas is smarter than me. Trust me, man. I don't doubt it. But they couldn't win a game. If they won one game in the last, I think it was 6 or 8, they win that division. I think with a player like that, they didn't have a go-to guy like that.
I think now with D-Hop there, I mean, Treylon was never supposed to be the 175 targets guy, and he kind of
they needed another
had
guy.
to be
Yeah.
without anybody there. So with D-Hop there, it can be obviously not as efficient of an offense, but kind of like A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, that combo where one's the guy that gets all the targets, the other guy is going to go up, get the ball, score the touchdown. So it puts Treylon in the role he was kind of meant to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So Another thing I saw today, Andy, Kyle Pitts at training camp with a knee brace. He's recovering from that MCL surgery. Is that any news at all, or is that just
It's I don't think it's news. I think it should be expected.
yeah?
You know, baby him. He's your one of the corner pieces of your whole entire franchise. But with Pitts, I mean, we just need something from the man. We just need him to go out there.
Touchdowns, man.
Yeah,
What
just
do you have,
be
2
that
last year, I
freak
think?
that he is. But yeah, I wouldn't be concerned about the knee brace. It's early, being cautious.
All right. Everyone agree on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't put much into it. I think you just got to be overcautious early before the season starts. I agree with Andy.
Okay. Anthony Richardson is taking reps with a second team offense. Joe, is that a big deal or no big deal?
I mean, I don't see it as a big deal. Anthony Richardson coming into this was a project. Minshew has had flashes of greatness. Not saying, he's going to get you to the playoffs, but he's definitely a starting quarterback in the league and has that ability. You talked about Jonathan Taylor earlier on the PUP list to begin the season. If Taylor's not out there, you can't put Richardson out there. So, let him have the reps with the second team guys. You get into the season and Minshew's doing nothing, then you can let him get some reps and maybe work him in towards I wouldn't put him in probably before week 10. I think if you put Anthony Richardson in anytime before week 10, it's too early.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to say about that?
Well, I think you can get in earlier than that. It all depends on how they're doing it.
It depends on how the season goes. Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
think you can put a
Gardner's
number
gonna-
on it.
Gardner's going to come out and sling the ball. We all know that. And Pittman's going to love that. Their whole offense is going to love that. And if they're even starting the season, 3-3, 4-4, he's going to keep that role. But if they start off the season and they're 1-4 and it's just not working, Richardson's going to get his shot early. And I don't think I'm not saying I agree that he's going to come in and you can start him as a viable fantasy option right away, but he's going to get his shot.
Yeah, I think they're just worried about messing him up too early because he was only a 1-year starter at Florida. But the one thing about Minshew, and we were talking about it pre-show a little bit, and I think everyone agreed, I like him for fantasy, especially for Michael Pittman. I think that's going to jump him up big time. But all right.
Yeah, I'd be worried about putting in Richardson too early and not being prepared and playing the mental game.
Yeah. I think that it sounds like that's the direction they're taking it.
Mhm.
All right. Nyheim Hines had a terrible accident that occurred. I think I read that he was just sitting on the jet ski and he wasn't even in motion and got hit. And
Yeah, that
What-
seems to be the story.
yeah. What was the injury, Andy?
I think all I read was knee. I don't know.
Okay, but he's out for the year. That's what they're
Yeah, he's
saying.
done for the season.
So what does that
Um,
do for James Cook?
I don't think it really changes too much. I don't think Hines was going to get a lot of play time. Maybe some jet sweeps. He different dimension, but a series here and there. I think they're coming into the season. They want James Cook to be the guy. There's definitely Hines is going to take 5 snaps. They go back to Cook. Like that helps fantasy value. But I mean, James Cook is going to get every opportunity to be the guy. And no matter how well he plays, I don't think he'll ever be a 90%, 85% of the carries guy. Like Damian Harris is going to get 30. Latavius Murray is going to get some. Like they're going to get other reps in there.
You think Murray's going to make the team?
Well, now I do. Yeah, with Hines, Hines out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So I mean, I don't think it bumps Cook, but it doesn't like slam him into like a new tier. If you're drafting around, end of round 6, whatever it is now, maybe beginning of round 6, but he's still roughly the same, but he has all the upside. His breakaway run percentage is huge. He's a home run hit. It doesn't move the needle that much.
For me is in PPR, full point PPR leagues, I like it more for Cook because I think he's going to get those third down snaps. In half point leagues, I really don't think it moves a lot. And I'm still worried about Damian Harris taking snaps away from Cook and taking touchdowns away. I mean, 2 years ago, the guy had 929 and 15 touchdowns. So he's definitely that Jamal Williams type guy who can just be a touchdown vulture.
Yeah, I think for
I
the
think-
Bills, it's great having two kind of workhorse running backs behind Cook. I think they've needed that. They've needed a guy that can just
Yeah,
run
when
for 2 yards. You know?
5'7" Devin Singletary's your power back. You need.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Two,
What were you gonna say,
two
Mike?
things quick.
Yeah.
I think Damian Harris is there to protect Josh Allen from himself. He just can't help just run for the end zone any chance he gets, and they're just going to get the ball out of his hands when he's inside the 5. Especially when you see him diving for a touchdown. He just can't slide. He's just not built to slide. Another thing I
Josh
think-
Allen hater here.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Unbelievable.
No, I'm
This
not. I
is
just
killing
think
Andy right now.
they need to save him a little bit.
Yeah.
And Naheem Hines, his official injury is smushed knee. That's what the doctors are saying.
Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Nice.
You see your Bills, buddy.
Okay. My mic's going down.
Smush
Whereas Bills
knee.
blue and Giants blue for football today.
All right, Mike. I got a couple for you here.
Couple.
I got a couple for you. We're going back to back. So the Eagles, they started their camp with a committee approach at running back.
Mhm.
Who the hell do you draft in this?
I think me and Andy have different mindsets on this, but I'm going Rashad Penny all day. What's that mouth open for over there, Joe?
We'll let him jump in.
think-
I'm gonna
after.
let you finish. You
Yeah.
have your moment.
He's the 1-2 back on that team. I mean, I know that they're trying to in training camp right now. You see Swift out there. They're checking it down to him more. I think they're trying to get Hurts to check down more, and I understand that. But when you have that offensive line in front of you, I mean, they're ranked the number 1 offensive line last year and coming into this season, and you give Rashad Penny room to run, as long as he can stay healthy. I know it's a big deal for Penny, but when he's out there, he's going to be averaging 6 yards a carry and getting some goal line looks. I'm taking that over Hurts potentially checking it down instead of running.
All right, Joe. You're having a hard time holding back a laugh. So
I know, man. So when he talked about the line opening it up, I felt like Andrew had the same thought as me. Is I want Swift going through those holes, man. I want that explosiveness. I want that elusiveness that he has. I think DeAndre Swift is an unbelievable fit for this offense, and I thought that was probably one of the best moves Philly could have made in this offseason. I'm taking Swift in fantasy all day out of that group.
Yeah, I'm a Swift guy too, but that's not like I like Rashad Penny a lot. I know health is concerned. It's a borderline concern with Swift too. But I think DeAndre Swift, like physically, is amongst the most gifted running backs in the NFL. And you put him with that line, that offense, and I think the upside is pretty wild with Swift.
And don't forget, Kenneth Gainwell is still on that team. They like
Oh, I
Kenneth
forgot.
Gainwell. And Boston Scott is going to get the starts when they play against the Giants. The guy just scores touchdowns against the Giants.
He's gonna get the touchdown carries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
only against the Giants. All right. I think this is probably the biggest news of the week. And it could be a difference maker receiver that I saw worked out for the Eagles today. I'm talking about
Oh.
N'Keal Harry. Mike, what do you have to say about that?
Listen, N'Keal Harry picked second round by the Patriots 4 years ago. I think honestly, I mean, if we're talking fantasy value, he has no fantasy value. But as far as depth on the Eagles roster, I think it's a smart play if they bring him in.
Okay.
Thank you for that, though.
Yeah.
What could be smart about that?
What could be smart about it? It doesn't hurt.
Well, they're kicking the tires.
It's depth, yeah.
He's not going to see anything. He might have
Anybody
100
watch
yards.
a highlight reel of that guy? He can't get He couldn't get separation in college.
I don't think he
Never
has
mind the
highlight
pros.
reels.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
All right, that's the news. Let's jump into how to win your league. Who's ready? Who wants to go?
give Mike the honors.
Mike, do
Yeah,
it.
Tip
please.
one, me.
It's you.
All right.
Do it.
So my first tip is to mock draft. I think, I mean, we all do it. We do Sleeper, we do Draft Wizard. we're drafting from different positions on these mock drafts. But when you're mocking, you're getting a sense of the guys that you like, and it gives you, like, if you're in the second round and it comes back to you, it gives you 3 or 4 guys that you can choose from that you say, all right, you know what? If this guy's gone, that's my number one, but I have this backup plan. So you have to come into it. Oh, so you're going to go on full tilt. If you just go into it thinking, oh man, I really want this one guy to come back to me, then he's gone. You're on full tilt. You're screwed. You're making a bad pick. So mock draft, get a list of guys that you like. Find out where you like drafting different positions. Like, do you like taking a running back like I made him in episode 2 at the point? Take CMC first because I like the wide receivers that come back to me in rounds 2 and 3. So it gives you that breakdown too. I see that face, Andy. But also your quarterbacks, where do you want to draft your quarterbacks? Where do you want to draft your tight ends? You get a full sense of your team, and you just have to have that game plan going into the draft.
Yeah, I agree with that. We all do a lot of them. I would actually say that I like drafting receiver in those first 3 because I think the running backs are great coming back, or better than they have been.
Yeah, I'm opposite.
Okay.
I like it the other way around.
All right.
If you're giving me Waddle, possibly, Chris Olave, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm taking all those players over the running backs that are coming back.
Anyone else have anything to say about his mock drafting?
I fully agree.
Yeah. Yeah, we all do probably too much of it. So go ahead, Mike. What's your next?
I'm going, no, let somebody else give a point first.
Oh, you want to do it like that? You want to just go point
Yeah,
by
let's
point?
go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I like
all right,
that.
yeah, I like
point
that
by
too.
point.
I like that.
Rank them up. I'll go next. I'll take so my top point, and I am amazed how many people don't have an understanding of it when they go to their draft, is know your point system, people. Make sure you know what kind of draft you're having here. So many people will go in not knowing if it's a full point, half point PPR.
Well, there's some
league.
commissioners out there. Sorry to interrupt you.
We're gonna get there. We're getting
Yeah.
there, man. We're getting there. That's part of it, though.
Yeah.
If they're not letting you know, make sure you know before you get into it. My championship 2 years ago, when I drafted Mahomes early and everybody made fun of me, it was a 6-point touchdown league for quarterbacks. It shouldn't be that, but it was, because that's what this commissioner did. Find your loophole in the point system. Find your strategy to maximize your value with what is slated for you.
Okay. I personally like the 6 point for a touchdown for quarterbacks, but that's I don't know. That's me. I might be on the minority on that.
To be honest with you, I like it because I think it throws something different. I don't want it for all my leagues, but I do like having one with it.
Well, it makes the quarterbacks more important, and it's the most important position in real football. So I think it should be a little more important when it comes to fantasy football as well. But anyone else?
Yeah, I got you. So my main draft point, things that help me win would probably be in the early rounds. Like, positional leads don't matter. I don't care about positions for the first few rounds at all. I'm just looking for best player available. The ultimate. What's the goal in fantasy is to put up the most points, right? So just find the players that put up the most points. If you start off with back to back wide receivers or running backs, like, it doesn't matter. You have flex positions, right? Like, you can still play these guys. I'm not saying draft 7 wide receivers, but if you start off with 3 wide receivers, it's fine. Like, don't panic. Just get the guys that you think, line them up, make a big board or a mental note of who you think is going to score the most points, and you pick those guys. It doesn't matter how you got the middle rounds to fill out your roster. You know what I mean? Fill it out in the middle. In those first few rounds where you have the home run players, take the guys that you think are going to put up the most points and don't care about position.
Yeah, I'm on board with that for sure.
I think
go ahead.
Most owners or most guys in the draft, they're scared to do that. And you pick wide receiver, and they're like, I have to go running back next. I have to. especially in these
No.
leagues that have 2 flex positions, which most leagues do now, or 3 wide receivers, whatever
But
one
they
it is.
should at least.
Yeah, you're still starting these guys. It's not like you're drafting bench players yet, so don't be scared to do that. There is a 0 RB approach if you're drafting all wide receivers. It does work in some scenarios, especially like if you're getting a James Cook in the 7th round, a Rashad Penny or DeAndre Swift in the 8th round, and these guys hit. Then
Won't get off of
it's gonna
Rashad
work
Penny.
out.
Well, and especially like Joe was saying about the point system, right? So if it's a full PPR, full point PPR, then drafting 3 wide receivers right away, that's kind of a strategy. You go that way.
Agree.
All right. So my first point, I kind of stole a little bit from Matthew Berry, but I read it a long time ago when he was still relevant. And you can't win in the first round, but you can definitely lose in the first round. And I completely agree with that. I think you have to go safe first round. That's the way I've always done it. I'm all about, so in the past, in a league that Joe, Mike, we were all in it together. I drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire at number 5, I believe, overall, because I bought into the hype. And who went right after him? Derrick Henry, who had a 2,000-yard season and 17 touchdowns. And so I'm all about, you go for the guys who are proven commodities, who have a track record of consistency and success. And that's what I'm all about in the first round. That's why, like we were talking about Tony Pollard. He scares me a little bit, especially if he gets into that first round. I'm not going to touch something like that.
Doug, quick question. Besides the top 5 obvious guys, who would you consider your safe plays in round 1? Like, let's say you have pick 8.
Yeah.
Who's available that you consider safe?
Well, I mean, safe is so relative because they're human beings we're talking about here. But
you know what I mean?
But I mean, I like Nick Chubb late. I like Nick Chubb late in the first round. I think he's as safe as you can get because he's going to be a top 5 running back, right? Like he might not be the number 1 overall because he might not have the catches, but he'll be a top 5. I like Saquon now that he's back at 8. We were talking about that. I would take Saquon over Bijan. So,
okay.
And I know that's probably not everyone's take where they're all going, but again, I think Bijan is unproven. I mean, he was a stud in college, but he's going on a bad offense too. I would take Saquon.
Okay.
Not that Saquon's on a good offense, but he's proven. All right, Mike, what's your second point? Or does anyone have anything to go with that? Anyone else besides Mike?
No, I agree. I think if you have, I'm with you on the Saquon and Bijan thing. I same thing. I would take Saquon. That would be my strategy for a draft like this year. And I think you got to go with somebody that's proven something in the first round.
Yeah, I think Bijan could be risky because he's going what? I mean, where's he going right now? Top 7 right now?
I think he's 7, 8.
Yeah.
I mean, it's running back. It's not. I mean, that translates pretty well in the NFL. Like
it does. It does. It's true.
I wouldn't say he's too much of a risk.
Unless it's CEH, which does not translate at all.
I think CEH went 31 or 32. Like
yeah, that's true.
And people question that pick.
He's gonna. I think so because I think Algier still gets a lot of carries. I don't think Bijan's gonna get. I don't think it's gonna be 70-30.
Define a lot.
I think it's gonna be. I'm saying it's going to be 55-45.
Wow.
Well, Algier had 1,000 yards rushing last year, so he's a legit back.
I'll side bet that right now.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Cody, what? You think it's going to go 55-45?
I think it's going to be close to that, yeah. There's no way it won't be more than 60-40.
Oh, that's all right. But I still take it back. We'll talk about it after the show, but we'll
think about it, and we'll come up with it at the end. All right, Mike, what's your second point?
I think everyone that's played a fantasy league with me knows that I live by this. Don't be afraid to trade. I've gone leagues where I've drafted a team And by the end of the season, I've had a completely new team, not one player on it. I mean, do I trade a little bit too much? Yeah, I'm addicted to trading.
Yeah, I think you bother
I have
people.
a problem.
Yeah.
My point with it is a lot of people are scared of other people's opinions. Am I on the bad side of this deal? Am I going to get made fun of this? Who cares what people think about your trades? If it's going to help your team, you think it's going to help your team, don't worry about anything else.
You know, Mike, to cut
one-
you off real quick, you make it more fun though. You do by doing that stuff. It makes
You
the
have
league
to.
more fun. You know, you have to have active owners, active managers. Otherwise, it's boring.
Yes. And there's a lot of owners, you make a trade offer and it just sits there for 3 weeks. And it's like, come on, man. At
Because
least
they
look
don't
at
care
your
about
team.
fantasy as much as we do.
Exactly.
They have a life.
But a few things that you have to do when trading is you have to look at strength of schedule. One thing I always do is I look at strength of schedule for the first like 5 weeks. Which teams have the worst or the hardest strengths of schedule? And I'm trying to trade for those guys because when they come out weeks 1, 2, 3, and they have kind of dud weeks, and maybe the owner's 1 and 2, 0 and 3, that owner is on tilt. And they think this player is the reason why they're losing, when in reality, that player is going to be the guy that's going to be the reason why they get back to 5 and 3, 6 and 3, or whatever. So try taking advantage of people on tilt. I always want to be on the side of a deal that's getting the one player for the two. I want the great. I don't want the two goods. So give me the better player. I'll give you the flex guy that you can throw in there because you got some injuries or something. But pay attention to other teams. Pay attention to strength of schedule and pay attention to injuries and buys because you can make some good offers that people are going to accept because they're on tilt.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Go ahead, Joe.
I love it. I was warming my hands because that transitions perfectly into what I have. So mine is feast on other people's needs because make those trades with the people that need what you have. Maximize what you can on your deals. Like Mike said, those guys that are struggling and they need that wide receiver that you're 3 deep in and you could get a boost up in your running back or your quarterback or your tight end that's going to take you to the playoffs and make your playoff run. That's what you need to be doing. And you need to be preying on the weak at that point and making your team the best it can be for that playoff run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't
I agree with
that.
My point would be more along the lines of what Mike was saying. Don't be afraid to give up like the bigger name, the better player. That doesn't matter. What really does matter and has helped me a bunch is giving up a legitimate starting wide receiver for another one that I've already moved past the bye. You know, like bye weeks matter. If I can get 13-week regular season, 14-week regular season, if I can get 14 weeks out of a legitimate number one by trading mine for a little bit lesser of a name, I'm okay with that.
So sorry to cut you off real quick, but the bye weeks, you said bye weeks matter. Do you draft?
No. Draft has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
No. I just draft the squad looking for maximum points. And then after that, if I have to make a move, like, I don't know, let's say Garoppolo this year kind of sucks like he usually does, and Devontae Adams isn't playing that well. You know, I don't know, you're not doing so hot. Maybe you target somebody like Mike Evans, right? Got Baker Mayfield, but I think the Bucs have a really early bye week. I think the Raiders have a really late bye week. I mean, if you're making that move somewhere in the middle of the season, back half of the season, you know, once again, if Devontae's going off, I wouldn't do it. But if it's close enough and you're going to get that extra week out of a starter, that helps.
Yeah, it can be worth it.
Name value plays a lot into people, especially we know, like we sit there and we study fantasy, but other owners, they don't do much research. And that name means more than what they've done on the season so far. So yeah, don't be scared to change and trade a name just because you fear they might do better in the second half. Like you got to make your moves when the opportunity strikes.
Yeah, 100% agree on that. That kind of goes back to what Joe was saying. So my next point is when you're drafting, don't get too caught up on the runs. When a run happens, let the value come to you at other positions. Either that or be the one to start a run. And especially this year, for me, I want one of those top end quarterbacks. So I'll start a run of quarterbacks. Andy, you're shaking your head.
I'm anti high quarterback, but that's
I
just-
always have been. Always have
Love
been.
it. Love it.
I always have been that way. But people like Joe kind of proves it wrong a little bit with the whole Patrick Mahomes in the first round. Not saying that's the way, that's why he won, but he didn't hurt him, right?
Sure. But I mean, you got more. First off, we live in the Madden era, the fantasy football era. Offenses are putting out outrageous numbers, right? Quarterbacks are putting out outrageous numbers. Like, dude, I'd rather stack quarterbacks and, round 9, 10, 10, 11, like Rodgers is going late, Goff's going, I mean, like they're not, it's not Josh Allen, it's not, but I can stream my quarterbacks and get more production out of that position than any other position. So I'm hit me with the skill positions. Tight end's a whole different monster. That one's
Well,
hit me with
that's
the skill
Kelsey and everyone else.
yeah.
So
And then
you
we get
got-
the back quarterbacks.
you guys all know I love early quarterbacks, and I'm with Doug. I want one of the top 5s. I'm not stretching as the first round this year. There's too much talent at that top tier wide receiver and running backs that I want one of those guys in the first this year.
Yeah, I'm not saying first round. Honestly, I would like it to be back end of the second round for my first quarterback.
But I agree. After the top 5, top 6, there's a drop.
There's a big drop
And it's
after
significant.
Trevor Lawrence, I think. And then maybe it's Dak next. I don't know where you guys have it, but that's kind of where I'm thinking. And that offense is going to slow down big time with McCarthy calling the plays there. But all right.
When it
Mike.
comes to the big quarterbacks, to me, there's a big drop after 3 of them. Mahomes, J.A., and Jalen are
Well,
the
there
top
is.
3.
Yeah, that's the first tier.
How are you not going to put Lamar and Herbert?
Lamar.
Like, I mean, it's fantasy. If we're talking like league wise, I don't want Lamar running my team because he's not going to win the playoffs in real life.
I'm not putting Lamar in there strictly because if I'm picking somebody in the 3rd round that can ruin your whole team by going out and missing 5-6 games like he does, I'm not doing that with Lamar. I'll
But
take
who's
that.
to
Wait a
say?
minute,
Who's to say that Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen can't get hurt running?
Well, they don't have the history of it.
Well,
So you must be low on
Hurts doesn't
Tua
as
then.
much.
What was that?
Be low on Tua then.
No, Tua had concussions, and that's it.
Oh, so
I
if he
can't
has
walk.
another one, his career is
Guy
over.
does not, he's got to be eaten out of a straw. One more concussion.
I know.
The guy had 2 concussions, and what the
Yeah.
league is the biggest against Rossi.
I know, but I like Tua, but I don't draft him until the 9th round, so it's not that much of a risk that I'm taking with Lamar in the 4th round.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the 3 of us are on the same page of that. It seems like Andy's okay with drafting the later quarterback still.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I need a big quarterback to slip in order for me to. And also it matters. League rules, like Joe's talking about. If I'm getting 6 touchdowns,
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
if it's a half PPR or a standard league, quarterback values are higher, right? So like, league rules matter. Quarterback slipping matters, but I'm not going into any draft thinking I'm taking a quarterback in the first, 4 or 5 rounds unless somebody like really slides.
Let me bring up a point to Joe's point earlier about know your league, right? Joe, when you drafted Patrick Mahomes in the 1st round, that was a 6-point per passing touchdown league. And that's when it's okay to draft Patrick Mahomes because he's gonna score
50 touchdowns. Yeah.
40 touchdowns, exactly.
We
You
said
take
that.
the rushing value away.
Joe already said this, bro.
I know. Yeah.
I missed that whole part.
He was thinking about what he was going to say next. It's all right. It's easy to do.
Let's go, Rossi. What's your 3rd one, Rossi? Come on, keep it going.
3rd one is you gotta listen to us.
That's great. What a great
love it.
transition. What a great transition.
No, in all seriousness, I would like it. I would love you to listen to us if this is your go-to. But listen to podcasts. You get great insight. Like when you're home, most people have a family, you have a life, you get caught up in things, they're doing projects, or you're at work. But when you have that time, if you have some sort of commute, or you're cutting the grass or doing whatever, and you can put a pair of headphones in, listen to some podcasts. You're gonna get information that you would not have if you're not listening. And again, if that happens to be us, that's that's amazing. But there's plenty of good shows out there that you can get information you wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, ours is better than everyone else, but
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Up and coming, man.
Joe, what do you got?
So big one for me, waiver wire. Understand how your waiver wire works, where your priority is with it, and do not just take the shiny object. You need to know what is going to be the best for your team. Just because you draft somebody because he's got the most appeal at that time, you may not necessarily get the trade value for him. So what true potential is that pickup going to have for your team? Waiver wire, I feel like a lot of people don't understand how it changes with the order and everything. So just make sure you have a full understanding of the waiver wire. Watch it, get your claim in at the right time, and don't just jump on the first one that happens early in the season, because you may want to be in that position when you're in that playoff run and somebody goes down later in the year.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I look a little bit differently on that. I actually like to be aggressive with a waiver, especially with the fab, because there's no guarantee that there's going to be a guy going down late. I want to get my players on my team now, the ones who are producing, the ones who are proving that they're going to be a part of the game plan. And yeah, I mean, I want to make my team better immediately. I don't want to wait to see if that stud running back's going to go down and I have money to get that backup running back where there's no guarantee that he's even going to be that good, right? That's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
on the same boat with Doug. I'm a burn your ticket. If you got the first ticket, it's almost like a curse, right? Like you're just sitting there like, oh, I'm gonna get somebody really good eventually. It never really works out that way. First off, if you're still doing tickets, you should quit your league and go into an auction league, because it's just so much better. But you got, whatever your budget is, $100 for the waiver wire. Leagues are won on the waiver wire. It's the toughest part about fantasy, right? Like, a lot of people don't have time keeping up with it, but if you can keep up with it, if you can stream, you're going to get injuries. You're going to get people that aren't performing. You're going to need to keep filling like starting roles. Bye weeks happen. All this stuff happens. There is production on the matchups, right? You got to go out there. You got to find somebody that you can stream. So active on the waiver wire is probably the biggest one. Find the matchups you like. Find the players that are, reaping the benefits of injury, and just keep it going.
Yeah, I think the only way I'm saving some of my fab is if you have a defense in your league. And when I say save some, I'm saying like $5, maybe $10, where come playoffs, you can pick up that matchup because everybody else has used their fab, and you can put a little bit towards getting the dominant matchup come the playoffs. That makes a big difference. Other than that, it kind of like with the trades, I'm not waiting because of FOMO, like fear of missing out. What if a guy goes down? What if? No, if somebody's there, I'm spending my fab right away, making my team better right then and there. And even if it's a guy that I'm just going to throw on my bench, I'm spending, because now I can do that trade that I said earlier, that 2-for-1, and get a great player in return.
Yeah,
Too many times I've used my waiver early and I haven't got deals done. And I could tell you the years that I have won, I've had money and I've overbid on guys later on that helped me in the playoff run. Not saying you guys are wrong. I'm just giving an opinion on what has worked for me.
Yeah, that can definitely happen. You can save your money, and then a stud running back goes down, and you're sitting there with $90 in your fab, and you are the only one that can bid enough to get this guy. Of course, that can't happen. I'm just not taking the chance of ending my season with more than half my fab available.
My fab's gone at the end of the season. It's gone. There's no money left. I'm going through that money.
Yes.
Honestly, probably by like week 9. Like that shit's gone.
Yeah, I'm the same way. There's a guy in our league that, and he actually won it though last year. To Joe's point, he almost always has all of his money left at the end of the year.
Great drafter.
Yeah. Mike, you got anything else?
That was all my tips I had written down. I mean, if we keep going, I'm sure I can think of more tips. But
All right.
that's all
Did
I have
anyone else
prepared.
work harder than Mike and put more tips down? Or
So
No.
I got 2 more.
Okay.
2 one is I always like to try to have a touchdown vulture on my team. Last year it worked out as I picked up Jamal Williams in the draft. I haven't picked one yet. I should have had one picked ready for this, but I'm torn right now, and I haven't set my eyes on a specific guy yet.
Well, I think
But
Damian Harris could be the guy. He could be one of them.
I know I didn't want to bring that up because
All right.
he is on my list of top 5 guys.
You have to bring it up, Joe. We're giving advice here.
you know,
we're not holding back.
But I'm big on touchdown vultures, man. Those quick 6 points are big. It can make a difference. My last one is I'm not big on drafting, and I feel too many people overvalue defense. I am big on matching up defense. A lot of times in a lot of fantasy leagues I'm in, I will switch week to week with my defense, and I'll try to play the best of what the matchups are available. It's for me, it's one of those positions where if the value drops, I could see myself taking one. But majority of the time, I'm playing the matchups week to week with defense.
Yeah, I actually have a point off of Joe's defense. So I always stream defense. I'm not going to draft, the Niners D and then start them all 14 games or whatever because they're gonna have bad matchups. It just doesn't work. One strategy that I have done and it works, and you can only do this if you don't have a lot of injuries or suspended guys or whatever on your bench, is pick up your defense this week for next week. Because if you're starting a defense this week, it's okay to have a defense ready for next week on your bench. Because now when that week comes, people are going to use their waiver wires on their matchups. You don't have to do that. You already have it on your bench, and you can just keep that rolling 2 defenses going. I've used it before, and it does work.
Yeah, you had brought that up to me earlier. It's not something that a lot of people do, but it can definitely work.
Go ahead, Eddie.
I got one for keeper leagues, and I know Rossi's done this because we're in a league where we did it together. But if you have keeper leagues where it's round related, like you draft a guy in the 16th and you get him in the 16th, like the year following, draft the people that got hurt in training camp. If a big running back goes down, I think Ross and I did it in the league, and it was Cam Akers and Travis Etienne had both gone down, and we got them in like round 15 or something. You're going to get to a point where teams they're bombing out, right? They suck, and now you have an asset that you were never going to plan on playing anyway, that you could ship to a bad team where they get an amazing keeper to go forward, and you collect an asset that's going to help you win a championship. So if you have leagues that play by those rules, it's worth looking into.
Or if you're the bad team, you have a good keeper going into next year.
There's that too. Got to look ahead. All right. Everyone had all their tips. That's it. The only other thing.
We said we were going to figure out that bet. So.
Well, we need to figure out the bet. So you two think about that right now. The only other thing.
We want to lock that in, huh?
Yeah, you guys should lock that in. I want to lock it in.
You said I'll give you 60-40. No, you said
I was gonna say you give me
60-40.
We talking snaps, we talking rush. How you want to play it?
I think snaps is probably the easiest way to do it.
60-40 snaps. I'll take it.
All right, what are we betting on?
What do you how we make this interesting?
Think about that for a second.
We both like bourbon, right?
We could do a nice bottle of bourbon.
Bottle of bourbon on it. We'll set the precedent offline for that. But but we'll do that.
I like it. We're gonna hold it to
I
it.
feel like I'm gonna end up with a lot of these before the season starts.
Oh yeah.
You probably will. You're a
I
degenerate.
got
Doug,
too.
you do. I want to bring it up, seeing we're talking about things. You understand what happens if Kyler Murray starts game one, right? Or have you
What happened?
forgotten, Doug?
What happens?
You don't remember?
No.
We made $100 bet.
Oh shit, we did, didn't we?
I'm gonna owe you
Oh, yeah,
$100.
remember
If
now.
Kyler Murray starts week one, I'm gonna owe you $100.
That's so funny. I can't believe you remember that. That was how
My
long
word,
has he
man.
been?
Listen, no matter what side I'm on of it.
He might
Wow,
not start
that's
week
honorable.
one though, because he's hurt.
Well, listen, if he's a starter, he doesn't have to start week one. It's.
If he's,
I didn't think he was gonna be a starter in the league and start 5 seasons in a row.
Joe,
I
you have a
I
great
miss
memory.
Kyler Murray big.
You have a great
that
memory.
was a career bet, not just for this season. Is he
Yeah,
gonna start?
it's like 5-year
I
bet.
thought Kyler Murray was gonna be out of the NFL by 7 seasons.
Wow.
I thought he was going to go play baseball. I thought after 2 seasons he was going to go play baseball. He got drafted by the A's. I think he was a better baseball player. Baseball players get huge contracts now. I didn't see him
Safer
stay in the
sport.
NFL.
Yeah.
Hey man, if it makes you feel any better, I wanted the Bills to take Josh Rosen over Josh Allen. So
I appreciate that honesty, because that does make me feel a little better.
Where's he at now?
yeah, he's washing cars.
All right. Yeah, the only other thing I had on trade, which really isn't that important, but Rossi took my number one thing, was the whole 2-for-1. I always want to be on the one side. But the other thing is, if you think your team is really good and it's just underperforming, sometimes the best move is just to not make a move. Just let it roll out. I know Mike can't do that because it just physically isn't in his nature to do that. But sometimes I think that is the best option.
But you can't make that move because you're on tilt. I make moves because I just love trading.
Yeah.
But if you're making a move because you're on full tilt, you're most likely going to make a bad move.
Nah, I held out. I didn't make trades last year, and that's what. If I stuck with my team, I snuck into the playoffs in either the 5th or 6th spot, and then made it to the championship.
Still hurts.
Tough
Yeah.
situation, man. Nobody saw that coming.
Hey, DeMar full participant today though.
That's
Yeah,
the one thing I
awesome.
didn't
No,
mention.
trust me, we're all
that's
happy
good.
to see
Yeah,
that, man.
that
That's
is
a
good
good
to see.
thing. Nobody wanted to see him out.
No, even being a Patriots fan, I root for that.
I can't believe the fact that he's actually playing again is incredible.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
He died
it's
on the field.
Fucking died, dude.
He
wild.
did.
Wild. He's got stones, man.
All right, boys.
Fellas, it
Thanks.
was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man,
You're gonna be
thanks for
back
coming on.
more and more. This might be a 4-man show.
Nice. A lot.
It's a lot, and we need some graphics. We didn't do that. Mike and I were talking about doing.
I'm
some
not
banners.
the visual guy. I can tell you
I
that
know,
right now.
I know. We needed more graphics. We got busy.
We'll have him back.
Yeah. We'll get it going. All right, boys. Thanks for
All right.
everything. Good tips. We'll see you next time. Later.
Take care, fellas.